Welcome back to Sacred Harmony, the space where spirituality meets sound, where sacred songs, real stories, and tiny shifts in consciousness become actual healing you can feel in your nervous system. I'm your host, Anya, and today we are getting into something that sounds poetic but is honestly super tactic: harmony. Not the everything is perfect kind, though I'm aligned enough that my life stops fighting me kind. My guest is Robin H. Clare, best-selling author and creator of Harmony Method. She's been in the trenches as a spiritual teacher, recovery and life coach, and non-profit executive. So she's not just talking about vibes. She's talking about what holds up in the real life, real readership, and real pressure. Her new book is called Harmony, the frequency of true success. If you're someone who loves music and spirituality, or you ever felt like success looks good on paper but feels off in your chest, this episode is basically your sign. So, alright, Robin, let's tune in.
That's great. Thank you for having me, Anya. I appreciate it.
Yes, it's such a pleasure. So, Robin, when you say true success has a frequency, what do you mean and how does someone know they're out of tune?
Yes. So for me, the frequency of true success is when your inner world is in alignment with your outer purpose. And so that to me is a very strong frequency. And it's interesting because I said that my work is not about music. But at the same time, it could be about music, because what I believe is that the harmony method, which is six steps that you need to take in order to achieve harmony, can be used for the creation of music. It can be used for relationships. It can be used for business. It can be used for personal healing. It can be used for political strife. It is just a series of steps that were shared with me from the divine realm as to how to create harmony in your life.
Yes, that's amazing. And what are the most common false success signals you see, like the ones that look impressive but quietly drain the soul?
I think that happens when you're out of alignment between if you've done your healing. Like, I get a sense, Anya, that you know what I mean by that. Like, when you've done the work, when you've taken the time to look at the trauma from your past lives, maybe even childhood, teenage years, adult life, and you've healed those so that you have a sense of peace inside of you. And then that peace has to be aligned with what you're doing in the world. So you could be doing something amazing in the world, but if you don't have inner peace, you can't find that harmony. And then you could find inner peace, but then you're also doing something that you really don't love, but you could still be harmonious because you're just in a state of acceptance that this is what is on your path right now. And perhaps it's leading to something more soul fulfilling for you, but you're able to be in acceptance of what that work is or what that relationship is because you're peaceful inside.
Yes, definitely. And that hits because a lot of people are basically running on a high performing life on low battery and calling it ambition.
Yes, I like that. I like that. That is true. That is true. I do this work and I also run a nonprofit as you mentioned, but because I love both of these things, it doesn't really neither one feels like work. And so it allows me to be very peaceful and excited about what I'm doing because as I've shared, I've done the work needed to feel peaceful. And so I'm wondering, would you like me to share the 6 steps of the harmony method so people can get a better idea of how to achieve harmony in their lives?
Yes, please, that'd be amazing.
Oh, that's great. So I'm going to use the example, a creative example of writing a book, which is what I've just done. And so I'm going to use that example in describing the steps of the harmony method. The first step is awareness. And that is when you receive a message from your soul or a message from your intuition, which to me, they're one and the same. And, or however you receive messages, maybe in nature, that it's time to do something that your soul came here to do in this lifetime. And so I received this message regarding this work, the harmony work. And so I heard it. I I took I will do it and I moved forward. So awareness makes you aware of something that's important and that are you going to follow your soul path? The next one is commitment. And to me, that's the devotion. You know, writing a book isn't an easy thing. I had to, for a year, put an appointment on my own calendar to write the book. Otherwise, guess what? You don't write it. So commitment is writing the book, really committing to it and getting it done, or starting your own business, or changing jobs, or improving your relationships, or getting into recovery. Whatever the commitment is, you have to be devoted to it. The next is mastery. And that's when you start to embody the teachings that you're learning through your commitment and your of the process. And so that was happening for me. I had to really say, am I living these teachings of the harmony method and embodying them? Even because I can't write the book and not have lived them. And then the fourth one is um, service, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm talking to you and your audience. That's being of service, right? That's actually getting the book published so that other people can read it, but it's also going out into the world and sharing this wisdom. The next is leadership, and for the most part it begins with self leadership. Am I walking the walk of these teachings? When you're talking to me, Anya, are you saying, gee, she seems awfully calm and peaceful and excited about her work? And, like, it's like, am I in harmony? Do you feel like when you're talking to me, am I in harmony? Because I feel that way. So I'm hoping that through self leadership, I can lead others onto the path of harmony. And the last one is freedom. And that is what we've been talking about. When your inner world, the world that I work so hard to heal from because I was in recovery, I was in addiction for 40 years. I'm in recovery for 8 around food disorders and bulimia. And am I, and now I have this peacefulness within. And then does it match my purpose? Am I out there sharing what it is that I've learned and in a clear, articulate way so that others can grow. And so am I out there? And when my purpose, and that's my purpose, right? So when my purpose matches my inner world, my inner healing, that's freedom. And all of that leads to the frequency of harmony working, because you're going to have different parts of your life that you're maybe in awareness, or another part you could be in leadership, but it's this constant study of your own life to say, am I going to achieve harmony in whatever I'm working on? And so it's constantly, I'm in a 38-year marriage. I have grown children, I have friends, I have work, I have my trying to manage my life in a state of harmony. And sometimes I'm at different stages with each piece, but ultimately the goal is to feel harmonious, because what happens with that, Anya, is when you feel in a state of harmony, it allows you to connect to your sovereign self. And your sovereign self is your most divine self. It's your closest to your own divine nature, and you get to understand truly what your soul is looking to do in this lifetime.
Yes, those are amazing. And the word harmony can sound abstract, but you created the harmony method. So if someone listening feels stressed or scattered today, what can first to create harmony in 10 minutes or less?
And 10 minutes or less, I love that. Well, first of all, I think if someone is feeling stressed, the first thing they should do is consciously breathe, right? really sit down, step outside into the fresh air if you have fresh air, and or just move into a state of breathing, like breathing in for 4, and then resting and then breathing out for 6. And I have a YouTube page with harmony meditations for each of those steps. So if you're struggling with awareness or commitment, mastery, service, leadership, freedom, there's 6, there's those 6 plus an integration meditation on my YouTube page, which is called Robin H. Clare, Clare. So people can look to that to get their free downloads on the YouTube page.
That's great. And I love that. We are not doing wait until your life is calm. We are doing build calm as a skill.
Yes. Yes, I don't know, waiting till your life is calm. I don't think that's I think you have to create the calm in your life because when you're stressed or worried, one of my favorite sayings is worrying, and this comes from the teachings of Abraham Hicks, the law of attraction. And my one of my favorite sayings is worrying is like praying for what you don't want. Isn't that great? Like that doesn't bring the state of anxiety. And so, calm, I think, comes from, first of all, staying in the present moment, right? Instead of worrying about the future or regretting the past, right? Stay in the present moment. And that's not easy, but you know what? You're just one moment away from the next present moment. And so you just have to stay present and just breathe. I know it sounds so simple, but I do believe it's as simple as that.
Yes, 100%. And this is sacred harmony, so I have to ask, how do you see music functioning spiritually? Like, is it a comfort? Is it medicine? Is it a portal? Is it all of the above?
Oh my gosh, I totally agree, it's all of the above. So I've been on the spiritual journey for like 20 years now, and I am so, gosh, I'm so connected to, I guess what I call it spiritual music, with the different octaves, the different megahertz, and just beautiful sacred music. Like I studied at the Oneness University in Chennai, India, and they even had their own music because I do believe that music is an attunement for your soul. I believe that music will calm your nervous system. It'll just calm you down. And so, again, what we were talking about, when you're in a state of anxiety, it's really hard to be in harmony for sure. It's actually hard to do anything when you're worried and you're in a state of anxiety. So I believe that music is just a gift from the universe to help us, I don't know, enjoy everything. Right, you think about how important music is to all aspects of our life, and maybe not enjoy everything, but there's music for everything that you're going through. And, it can help you have an emotional release, which may be what you need. It can help you laugh, which is also an attunement, right? It can it can make you just feel connected to your divine source. It's it can make you, heal. I think that's what it is. I think it's just healing and comforting and can make us have fun as well.
Yes, totally. And do you have a simple listening practice, like a way to use a song or a tone to get back into alignment fast?
Well, I really spend most of my day listening to music. I would say that in my waking hours, and especially while I'm working, I am listening to music all of the time. I've had friends come over and they're like, "Is there ever not music playing in your house?" And I'm like, "No." Because it just guides me. It guides me to just being very present. And so as I said, I love like spiritual music. And I don't mean like religious music. I'm talking about mostly instrumental music. And but then I also love rock and roll, and I love jazz, and I love um any kind of music. I guess it depends on I love country music. We're big here with country music. Um, it depends what I'm into and what is going on in my life and how I need the music to help raise or lower my vibration.
Okay, yes. So basically, music is the shortcut to truth we keep overthinking. That's the whole strategy.
Yeah, 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 and it's just I don't know about you. Do you feel that way too, Anya? Like, do you feel like when you have music going, when you're working or working around your home, that things seem to go faster and you're more engaged?
Yes, yes, it does. And I mainly use it when I'm cleaning around the house. So the chainsaw goes by faster.
It does, and it makes it not as dreadful of a task, uh, because you're enjoying the music.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that people need to find what music really resonates with them.
Yes, for sure. And in your work, you talk about moving from stress and striving into harmony, where
Yeah.
inspiration becomes purposeful action. What's the difference between pushing and aligned action?
Well, I think aligned action begins at awareness, the first step, right? What do you know why you're doing what you're doing? What are you looking for to be the outcome? And do you know why you're doing it? And so I think awareness, if you start from a place of awareness instead of just, blindly going through your day doing what other people think you should be doing, like what does your soul want you to do in this lifetime? And yes, of course, we're all a lot of folks are in jobs that are just they're doing it just to make a living and pay the bills, but they can do that job also from a place of grounded awareness that it's leading them to be able to do something that really matters to them. If I Pushing, I think, happens when you don't know what the aligned action should be. So I think when we're pushing, it's because we're just going through the motions. And yes, that happens all the time. But if we can take the time to be connected to our inner world, however that looks. For me, it's every morning I walk and I pray out loud while I'm walking. Now, some people would say, "Oh, you're not sitting on a mat, right? Or you're not sitting on a cushion." I'm like, I don't need to be sitting on a cushion to pray and connect to my own soul and to, higher consciousness. I'm better actually outside. And sometimes, we were talking about cleaning the house, Anya. When my kids were little and I had no time to myself, I would wash the dishes, and I would put soap in the sink, and I would stick the warm water, and I knew that I had, like, 20 minutes to myself because I knew no one was running in to help me wash the dishes. So I knew that I could find at least 20 minutes to myself where I could go inside of myself, wash the dishes, but just consciously not be pushing at life there, but to be in alignment inside of myself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's great. And how do we handle deadlines and responsibility without losing our frequency, especially for leaders, caregivers, and high achievers?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's not easy. For me, the key is to be incredibly organized. And I worked with a friend on a book whose husband died. I was her writing coach, and her husband died from Alzheimer's at 54. And so she was completely overwhelmed. And one of the things that she wrote in the book that has stuck with me is do we have the ability to ask for help? Do we have the ability to delegate, right? Do we have the ability to just say, "It's too much. How can someone help me figure out how to get this done?" And so I think staying organized and asking for help or delegating if you're in a leadership position, you know, having everybody feel like they're part of especially in leadership, because I am in a leadership role. My entire team feels like they are part of the solution here for the work that we do. And so that's very, very important. And that stops me from feeling overwhelmed because I know I'm sharing the burden with others.
Yeah, and this is the leadership upgrade right here. Less grind culture, more grounded impact. Same output, but inner experience.
Yeah, yeah. And we really do. There's four of us, and we sit together and we just brainstorm on Wednesdays. What do we need to get done? And I, as the executive director, I always have the final say, but I am just genuinely interested in what they have to say, so that I get the greatest input for what it is that we're trying to achieve.
Yes, 100%. And you have worked in recovery coaching. Harmony sounds beautiful, but life can be messy. What does harmony look like when you're triggered, grieving, or tempted to fall back into old patterns?
Yeah, yeah. And, so I'm gonna talk a little bit. My book before Harmony was called Feast and Famine: Healing Addiction with Grace. And there were 4 elements of the Feast and Famine book that were very powerful. The first is that pain is inevitable. We are all in pain. We're mind, body, spirit, and emotion. We're an integrated system. So there's many places and we're not alone. There are people that are pushing our buttons. And so we there's a lot of places where we can be in pain. So pain is inevitable, but suffering is an option. People think that because they're in pain, they need to be suffering. That is not true. Suffering is an option. I'm sure you've met people who are in a lot of pain, but they're not suffering. And then you've met people who don't look like they're in pain, but they're suffering. So pain is inevitable. Suffering is an option. And then the next one is surrender is required. And so what does that mean? It's not like you're going to say, I wish I wish I didn't have another drink. Surrender is really like let go, let God, right? I am not drinking anymore. Like really like I am done drinking. And so that is surrender and it is required. And then the last part is grace must be allowed. And that's probably the most difficult is folks who are in addiction have not done all of their trauma work. And so in Feast and Famine, we talk about the fact that suffering is the true addiction on this planet, and then we pick our poison, whatever that is. And so folks don't typically, if they haven't done their trauma work to understand why they're suffering, it's very difficult for them to accept grace. So grace must be allowed because once you have truly surrendered your addiction, your secondary addiction, or surrendered and said, I surrendered your suffering, then grace will arrive immediately. And it could be in the form of this podcast, my saying this, or it could be you going to get help from a counselor or talking to your religious person or your family. But grace is everywhere, it's around us at all times. And we just have to keep looking for it. So, we must be able to accept it as that we're good enough to receive it. So I'm just going to repeat this. So surrender is the true uh, addiction on the planet. The secondary addictions are where we pick our poison, whatever that is: drinking, porn, TV, bad relationships, food for me. And so pain is inevitable, suffering is an option, surrender is required, and grace must be allowed. And if you can follow that path that I outline in, um, in Feast and Famine, Healing Addiction with Grace, you'll be able to move into recovery. And ultimately, if you live in awareness of your mind, body, spirit, and emotion, looking at those all the time, impacting and healing those, you will be able to move into long term recovery. And this could be recovery from whatever it is. We think of addiction sources, as I shared before, as alcohol or cigarettes, but it could be anything because it's what we're choosing to heal from our suffering. So it's really about healing our suffering, the trauma.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that because some people turn spirituality into another performance metrics, and this
Mm.
is not the assignment.
No, no, it takes a lot of work. I think the hard part about spirituality is it the words are so simple, but it's not simple to do. And so in its simplicity, people get confused. And so because it takes commitment, both internally and externally to move into long-term recovery.
Yes, absolutely. And Robin, how can listeners reach out to you?
Yes, I would thank you for asking. So my website is Robin H. Clare. So it's Robin, H is in hand, Clare, CLARE.com. And that is it's the home of the Harmony movement.
Perfect. And listeners, before you go, here's a simple mini challenge you can try today: the 3-minute harmony reset. Pick one song that feels like truth to you. Sit still, hand on heart or belly. Ask one question while it plays: what's the next aligned step? Not the whole plan, just the next step. Then write down the first honest answer. No arguing with it. If you do this, you're not just consuming inspiration, you're converting it into alignment. And that's real return on investment. And Robin, thank you for bringing both the depth and the practicality. Your book, Harmony, The Frequency of True Success, is such a powerful reminder that the goal isn't just to achieve more, it's to live in a way that actually feels like you. And to everyone listening, if this episode gave you even one moment of clarity, share it with someone who's been carrying too much. And don't forget to subscribe so you stay plugged into these conversations where healing meets harmony. Until next time, this is Anya on Secret Harmony. Keep listening inward, keep choosing what's true, and let your life become the music.